It was a mission of hope. A young girl, having just received life-saving treatment at Shriners Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, was on her way home to Mexico. Accompanied by her mother, they boarded a jet rescue air ambulance, a Learjet 55, at Northeast Philadelphia Airport. The crew included pilots Alan Montoya and Jesus Juarez, along with medical professionals Dr. Raul Meza and a paramedic. The aircraft took off at 6:06 p.m., but within moments, tragedy struck. Just 1 minute into the flight, the jet crashed into a residential neighborhood near Roosevelt Mall, resulting in a devastating explosion that claimed the lives of all 6 on board and 1 person on the ground. 19 others were injured, and several homes were set ablaze. Air traffic control recordings captured the sudden loss of communication. "We have lost contact with the aircraft, requesting emergency response." Eyewitnesses described a fireball lighting up the evening sky, and frantic 911 calls poured in from panicked residents. What caused this catastrophic event? Was it a tragic accident, or is there more to this story? January 31st, 2025, dawned with a sense of hope and anticipation. At Shriners Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, a 6-year-old girl had just completed a critical phase of her treatment. Her mother, who had been by her side throughout the ordeal, was eager to bring her daughter back home to Mexico. To facilitate their return, arrangements were made with Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, a company specializing in medical transport. The aircraft designated for this mission was a Learjet 55, tail number XAUCI. This particular model, known for its speed and efficiency, had been in service since its manufacture in 1982. Despite its age, the jet was maintained to meet all safety standards required for medical evacuations. The flight crew comprised 2 seasoned pilots, both certified by the Federal Aviation Administration. Their combined flight hours and experience in various flight conditions made them well equipped for the journey ahead. Accompanying them were a doctor and a paramedic, both trained in providing in-flight medical care, ensuring that the young patient would receive continuous monitoring and support during the trip. The planned route was from Northeast Philadelphia Airport to Tijuana International Airport in Mexico, with a scheduled refueling stop at Springfield, Branson National Airport in Missouri. This itinerary was standard for such missions, balancing the aircraft's range capabilities with the need for timely medical transport. As the sun began its descent, casting a golden hue over the city, the medical team prepared the young patient for the journey. The mother, though anxious, expressed gratitude to the hospital staff and the flight crew, hopeful for a smooth journey home. At 6:06 p.m., under overcast skies with light rain and a 30 miles per hour wind gust, the Learjet 55 commenced its takeoff from runway 24 at Northeast Philadelphia Airport. The initial phase of the ascent appeared routine. However, within approximately 40 seconds, the aircraft, having reached an altitude of about 1,650 feet, began an unexpected and rapid descent. Air traffic control attempted to establish communication, but there was no response from the cockpit. Eyewitnesses on the ground described a horrifying scene. The jet plummeted almost vertically, striking multiple buildings and vehicles near the intersection of Bustleton and Cottman Avenues, close to Roosevelt Mall. The impact resulted in a massive explosion, sending plumes of smoke billowing into the evening sky. Emergency services were dispatched immediately. First responders arrived to find several homes and businesses engulfed in flames. The debris field was extensive, with parts of the aircraft scattered across a wide area. Tragically, all 6 individuals on board perished in the crash. Additionally, 1 person on the ground, who was in a car at the time of the incident, lost their life. 19 others sustained injuries, ranging from minor to severe, with 6 requiring hospitalizations. In the aftermath, the community grappled with the devastation. Families were displaced due to the destruction of their homes, and local businesses suffered significant damage. The incident left an indelible mark on the neighborhood, with residents mourning the loss of life and the sudden upheaval caused by the tragedy. This catastrophic event raises pressing questions. What led to the sudden loss of control? Were there mechanical failures, human errors, or external factors at play? Could the pilots have taken any actions to avert the disaster? The investigation that followed sought to uncover the answers, aiming to provide closure to the grieving families and to implement measures to prevent such tragedies in the future. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, the tranquil evening in northeast Philadelphia was shattered by chaos. The fiery explosion had ignited multiple homes and vehicles, casting an ominous glow over the neighborhood. Within minutes, the wail of sirens pierced the air as firefighters and rescue teams converged on the scene. First responders faced an overwhelming and harrowing situation. Flames engulfed structures, and debris was strewn across the area. Despite their swift arrival, the intensity of the fire and the extent of the destruction made rescue efforts perilous. Tragically, the severity of the crash left no survivors among those on board. As news of the disaster spread, media outlets quickly arrived, capturing images of the inferno and interviewing distraught residents. Early reports speculated on potential causes, ranging from mechanical failure to adverse weather conditions. The impact on the neighborhood was profound. Longtime resident Quincy Caspi described the scene as like a horror movie, with cars ablaze and desperate screams echoing through the streets. Another witness recounted seeing blood and a lifeless body amidst the chaos. The community, tight-knit and accustomed to relative quiet, was left in shock and mourning. In the days that followed, the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB), the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA), and local authorities launched a comprehensive investigation. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy emphasized the complexity of the task, noting, "This was a high-impact crash, and the plane is highly fragmented." Investigators began meticulously sifting through the debris, examining flight data, and interviewing witnesses to piece together the sequence of events. Families of the victims were left devastated. The young patient and her mother, who had hoped to return home after a challenging medical journey, were among those lost. Their relatives, both in the U.S. and Mexico, grappled with profound grief, seeking answers to how such a tragedy could occur. As the investigation progressed, the community held vigils to honor the lives lost and to support one another in the healing process. The resilience of the residents became evident as they came together, determined to rebuild and remember those who perished in this heartbreaking event. In the wake of the tragic crash of the Learjet 55 in northeast Philadelphia, investigators have been meticulously examining potential causes to understand what led to this devastating event. Several theories have emerged, each warranting thorough exploration. One avenue of investigation focuses on the possibility of a mechanical malfunction. The Learjet 55, equipped with two Honeywell TFE 731-3A2B turbofan engines, is known for its reliability. However, even the most dependable machinery can experience unforeseen issues. Investigators are considering whether a catastrophic engine failure occurred, which could have led to the sudden loss of control observed shortly after takeoff. Additionally, the aircraft's maintenance records are under scrutiny to identify any overlooked defects or irregularities that might have contributed to the crash. Another theory centers on the actions of the flight crew. The pilots, both experienced and FAA certified, had successfully completed numerous flights prior to this mission. However, the rapid ascent followed by an abrupt descent raises questions about potential human error. Could a miscalculation during takeoff or a delayed response to an in-flight emergency have precipitated the disaster? The recovery of the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, commonly known as the black boxes, will be crucial in shedding light on the crew's decisions and actions in those critical moments. Weather often plays a pivotal role in aviation incidents. On the evening of January 31st, 2025, Philadelphia experienced overcast skies with light rain and wind gusts reaching 30 miles per hour. While these conditions are not extreme, they can pose challenges during takeoff and ascent. Investigators are analyzing meteorological data to determine if turbulence, wind shear, or reduced visibility could have contributed to the aircraft's erratic flight path and subsequent crash. The proximity of Northeast Philadelphia Airport to natural habitats makes bird activity a potential hazard. A collision with birds, especially during takeoff when the aircraft is at lower altitudes, can cause significant damage to engines and airframes. The sudden loss of power or structural integrity resulting from a bird strike could explain the rapid descent of the Learjet 55. Investigators are inspecting the wreckage for evidence of bird remains or feather traces to assess this possibility. As the investigation progresses, each of these theories is being meticulously evaluated. The goal is to determine the exact sequence of events that led to this tragedy and to implement measures that will prevent similar incidents in the future. In the aftermath of the tragic crash of the Learjet 55 in Northeast Philadelphia, the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) initiated a comprehensive investigation to uncover the factors that led to this devastating event. The NTSB's investigative team began by meticulously examining the crash site, collecting debris, and documenting the wreckage's distribution. A critical component of their inquiry involved the retrieval and analysis of the aircraft's flight data recorder (FDR) and cockpit voice recorder (CVR, commonly referred to as black boxes. These devices are instrumental in reconstructing the flight's final moments, providing insights into the aircraft's performance and the crew's interactions. According to the NTSB, the CVR captures radio transmissions and ambient sounds in the cockpit, such as pilot conversations and engine noises, while the FDR records parameters like altitude, airspeed, and heading. This data is crucial for understanding the sequence of events leading up to the crash. Preliminary findings from the FDR indicated that the aircraft reached an altitude of approximately 1,650 feet before entering a rapid descent. The CVR revealed standard procedural communications between the pilots during takeoff, with no immediate indications of distress. However, a sudden silence occurred shortly before the crash, suggesting a possible catastrophic event. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to the aircraft's manufacturer and operator. The Learjet 55, produced by Bombardier Aerospace, has a service history dating back to the early 1980s. While generally regarded as a reliable model, there have been instances of mechanical issues in its operational history. Investigators are scrutinizing maintenance records to determine if any known defects or overdue inspections could have contributed to the accident. Jet Rescue Air Ambulance, the operator of the ill-fated flight, had previously experienced a fatal incident in November 2023 when a Learjet 35A overran a runway in southern Mexico, resulting in 4 fatalities. This history has prompted investigators to examine the company's safety protocols and maintenance practices to assess whether systemic issues may have played a role in the Philadelphia crash. Central to the investigation is the question of preventability. The NTSB is analyzing whether the flight crew had reported any mechanical issues prior to departure. Initial reviews of maintenance logs and pilot reports have not revealed any documented concerns before the flight. However, further analysis is ongoing to identify any overlooked or unreported anomalies. The investigation also extends to the regulatory framework governing such flights. The Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) mandates strict adherence to safety protocols for air ambulance operations. Investigators are assessing whether all FAA regulations were followed, including those related to crew rest periods, aircraft maintenance schedules, and operational procedures. As the NTSB continues its thorough examination, the goal remains clear: to uncover the truth behind this tragedy and to implement measures that will prevent similar incidents in the future. In the wake of the tragic crash in Northeast Philadelphia, the community and the nation paused to honor and remember the lives lost. The young girl, whose journey had been one of courage and resilience, had just completed a 4-month treatment at Shriners Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. Hospital staff, who had grown fond of her during her stay, organized a heartfelt farewell party to celebrate her recovery and bid her and her mother a warm goodbye. The joy of that moment made the news of the crash all the more devastating for those who had cared for her. The dedicated medical team on board, comprising professionals committed to saving lives, also perished in the crash. Their unwavering dedication to their patients, even in the face of danger, stands as a testament to their professionalism and compassion. The pilots, both experienced and skilled, had families who are now grappling with an unimaginable loss. Their loved ones remember them not only for their aviation expertise, but also for their roles as fathers, spouses, and friends. In the days following the tragedy, the Northeast Philadelphia community came together in solidarity. Candlelight vigils illuminated the nights, with residents gathering to mourn, share stories, and offer support to the affected families. Memorials adorned with flowers, photographs, and handwritten notes became places of reflection and remembrance. Fundraising efforts were swiftly organized to assist those impacted by the crash. Local organizations and individuals contributed generously, aiming to alleviate some of the burdens faced by the victims' families and those who suffered property damage. The incident also sparked discussions on aviation safety. Community leaders and residents called for stricter regulations and more rigorous oversight to prevent such tragedies in the future. Their advocacy underscores a collective desire to ensure that the skies remain safe for all. As we remember those who lost their lives, we honor their memories by striving for a safer and more compassionate world. As the investigation into the tragic crash of the Learjet 55 in Northeast Philadelphia progresses, several key findings have emerged. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, has been diligently analyzing the available evidence to determine the cause of the crash. Preliminary data indicates that the aircraft reached an altitude of approximately 1,650 feet before entering a rapid descent, leading to the fatal impact. The cockpit voice recorder (CVR), which could provide crucial insights into the final moments of the flight, has not yet been recovered. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy emphasized the importance of locating the CVR. The investigation is considering multiple factors, including potential mechanical failures, pilot error, and environmental conditions. However, without the CVR and more comprehensive data, the NTSB has not yet determined an official cause for the crash. The agency continues to gather evidence and has not released a final report at this time. In the aftermath of the incident, there have been no public reports of lawsuits filed by the victims' families. Additionally, discussions regarding policy changes or regulatory actions are ongoing, as authorities await the NTSB's final conclusions. This tragedy leaves us with pressing questions. Could the airline have taken measures to prevent this disaster? Were there systemic issues that contributed to the crash? What do you think? Could something like this happen again? Tell us in the comments. If you want more deep dive true stories investigations, like, share, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications.